guys, welcome back. I thought we'd do a video on what you don't need to take on your first backpacking trip. Again, this is for the first time backpacker, and there's going to be a wide variety of things that I've taken on 2-3 trips that I've slimmed down to about 8 to 10 pounds. So you'll be able to substantially reduce your weight if you follow some of these practices. Again, if you haven't seen any of my videos, check out some of my videos. You can see the backpacking trips that I went on. The first one I took 55 pounds, the second one I took like 45, and now I'm able to get right around 40 or even less, down to 35 if it's just like an overnight, which I'm pretty happy about. That makes me happy. So and that's including like my excessive amount of batteries. I take about 2 or 3 pounds of just filming equipment with me, so that's including that as well. So let's get right into this stuff, and I'll try to do it in order of importance and in which I think you would maybe take some of this stuff. Now, right out the gate, I think probably the biggest offender that can save you a ton of weight is going to be the pan. You probably don't need a pan. Now, yes, is it nice to take it? For sure. You know, cooking fish on this in one of my backpacking videos, that was an awesome adventure. Love doing it. But these are anywhere from a pound to more. You know, sometimes you can get some lighter weight ones. But for the most part, bring some tin foil. Bring, if you get some fish, just stick its mouth, stick its mouth with a stick and just cook it that way. There's a variety of different ways you can cook fish without a pan. You can cook it on a rock. Seriously, just find a flat rock, cook it next to the fire. Perfect. And you just don't need one of these. It's a ton of weight, so get rid of that. Things like scrapers. Again, my first backpacking trip took a scraper. Now, if you have terrible, awful pans and you're constantly frying stuff, it might come in handy, but this is really just a dead weight that you don't need. Musical instruments. I took a didgeridoo on my first time, and that thing was over 2 pounds. I had to ditch it off to the side of the trail, and some lucky guy got it on the back down. Of course you would. It was an awesome didgeridoo. What was I thinking? I was thinking I was going to be like Joe Cool up in the mountains, like blazing away some just amazing tunes on my didgeridoo. No, it was just copious amounts of weight that you don't need on your first trip. You can add in musical instruments on your second trip, even things that are small like a harmonica. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, it's lightweight. But the thing is all this stuff adds up to pounds. So let's just focus on getting you a good trip where you're not getting overly exhausted, and you can get to the mountains, enjoy bird sounds, enjoy looking at things. Don't worry about things like this. You can add that on your second trip. Straps. This is a really cool thing that you can, this was on my hammock. You can cut off straps off of your hammock. That'll save you all kinds of ounces that will, again, add up. There's all kinds of straps and stuff you don't need. Bags. Do you really need all of your stuff in bags? Is some of it okay to not be in a bag? This was a bag for my inflatable pillowcase. I don't need a bag for that. I'm not worried about it. I'm not going anywhere where I'm going to be falling in water or anything like that. I'm not concerned about that. So again, there's all kinds of bags that you could probably find that you don't need. I even know of a number of people that stuff their sleeping bag in without putting it in the compression bag, just because it's quicker and easier. Do you need the bags that your tent goes in? Do you need the bags that your stakes are in, that your tent in? So look around at your bags and see if you really need all of that stuff, or if you can just stuff it in your bag. So check stuff like that. Lids. Do you really need a pot lid? Probably not. You probably don't. I've never used this. I've cooked tons of meals on that pot. I love it. I have the Ollie Camp XTS, but I don't need the lid. And now for some, high mountain cooking where you're letting something sit and you're letting it bake, I could understand taking that. But with my current ramen loadout, I don't really have use for this. Another thing you probably don't need is you probably don't need a cup. A lot of people, they take a pot and a cup. You don't need a cup. Just have your coffee in your pot that you cook your food in. Why do you need a cup? So again, just take the pot, and if you need to heat up any hot chocolate or anything, have it in your pot. It works totally fine. So remove the cup as well. Knives are another big one. I brought a skinning knife one time. Not skinning knife, but a flaying knife for fish. Really, like, what was I thinking? 98% of the time, I use a little tiny Leatherman to gut fish. I'm not kidding. It was just a little tiny 1-inch blade. Slices open, razor fine, gets the fish guts out and everything. I didn't need this. That was a silly thing to take. The other thing is big knives. A lot of people take a lot of big knives. I hardly ever use knives when I'm out there. It's a very rare thing that pops up. Again, it can take up to a pound or more. One time I took a Bowie knife with me on my first backpacking trip. You could see me. Huge amount of weight. Stupid. Barely used it. It was terrible for the fish. I ended up using my little tiny Leatherman to gut the fish instead, like I said. So this is for, personal confidence, in my opinion. Yeah, you might be, if you're taking it to whittle some wood on your first time, don't. If that's really what you're taking it for, again, just get up there, enjoy nature, and do it as light as you can, so you can be healthy and you can be strong and you're not hurting and aching and slogging up the mountain. You get up there and you can actually walk around your campsite and look around and have fun. So again, don't take super heavy things that you don't need. To quote the movie Wild, are you using these much? Do you really need binoculars? I've taken these multiple occasions. It's a little bit over half a pound. You don't need that. You don't need that at all. Salt and pepper, come on. You can do without the salt and pepper. Lotion, here's a great one. Here's my sunscreen and lotion. That's 4 ounces. Instead of taking this whole bottle, for like $5 to $7, you can buy an assortment of little bottles, and you can, I'll see it in the description below, and you can just put an ounce of lotion in here. You're not going to need all 4 ounces. So there's a whole bunch of ounces. Poop shovel. Now, some places these are a legal requirement, and they even ask that you have these visible on outside of your bag. This is so you shovel a hole and you poop in the hole and you cover it up. Well, I can do that with a rock, I can do that with a stick, I can do that with my hiking poles. I don't need this. That's a whole bunch of weight that I don't need to be taking with me. Clothesline, really? Just set your clothes on a rock or some tree. Knife sharpener, come on. You barely need a knife. You probably don't need a knife sharpener. Emergency blanket. I hate these things, especially the ones that are like a sleeping bag, because it will make you sweat and that will put you in even more danger. The only security blankets, space blankets that I like are the ones that drape over the top of you but let the air evaporate through you. I don't like the fully enclosed ones. Again, never use this, and also if I was to, I just discovered it was constantly making sweat. Bushcraft kits and heavy bushcraft things to make bushcraft fires. These things are totally awesome, but these are not for lightweight backpacking. This kit weighs a pound. Take a lighter, take fire starters, take lightweight things. Don't be out there on your first backpacking trip trying to get a bushcraft fire going. That is literally stupid. Good luck if that's what you choose to do, but I wouldn't recommend it whatsoever. What else do we have here? Medical stuff, like I have a bite and sting kit. You don't need to take the whole box. You can just take the surgical extractor if a snake was to bite you. You don't need the things that are in it, like necessarily the razor and all the sting pads and this plastic case. No, just take the extractor. That's fine. Fuel is another good one. People often take 8 ounces of fuel. I did for my first 2 trips, and my 4-day and 6-day trip, including heating up my coffee and all kinds of different things that I was cooking for dinner, I only used about 4 ounces, not even 4 ounces. So you can totally get a little tiny fuel. You don't need to get a big, huge 8-ounce one. Reduce how much you're taking. Also, lighting. This falls into, in my opinion, packing your fears. On my first trip, I had a lot of different occasions where I was wanting light at night. I even put a light on behind me. I was so paranoid. Now, I was also dropped off on a boat 20 miles up a lake and in the middle of nowhere, and then hiked into the woods. So I was really remote and very alone, and it was my first time, so I was definitely paranoid. So if you have to take lighting with you for security reasons, or just if it's going to make you feel better, totally do it. I highly recommend it. I did, but now I don't need this anymore, and this is a little bit over a pound of weight that I can shed. A lot of people take too much rope they don't know how to use. I take rope and some nylon rope. I was really just sent this from T&H Outfitters, and mentally I always keep thinking like, oh, I'd love to have some rope if the shit hit the fan and I really needed to do something. Well, one, I'm terrible with knots. I can't remember how to tie them. I've tried to learn. I'm not good with it. So I just kind of try to avoid, rope. I don't know. Most people take tons of paracord that they don't know how to use anyways. And I've just never heard of anybody saying, man, I'm just so glad I had all that rope with me. I used to take a tarp to set my things on the ground. In most cases, you don't need a tarp to set your stuff on. Your gear will be fine touching the ground. And then different various things in your medical kit. A lot of people take like a field surgeon's kit. You need to be able to put some gauze over a major injury. You need to be able to have some surgical tape to wrap it up. And I also take some duct tape that I take, some cardboard, and I'll just wrap about 2 feet of duct tape around. That way I can even wrap up and bind a wound. And then I take a head bandana. That way if I need to, I can also tie it up as well. I also wear a belt so I can tie off any bleeding. You don't need 100 bandages. You don't need a whole bunch of aspirins and different things. Take some stuff if you get a headache. Take about some ibuprofen, 5-6 ibuprofen. Take about 7 bandages, 7-8 bandages. Take a few that are of various sizes. Take a few different gauze pads. But really you just need to be able to prepare one wound. If you're that messed up, that sucks. But I've seen a lot of people that have just these huge medical kits that weigh too much, and 98% of the time it's just going to be something tiny. Now in that 2% of the time, all this stuff falls into, well, what if, but most of the time you're not going to need a huge medical kit. Also, another great way to save on weight is by getting a little folding stove. This is an Emberlit titanium. It's literally weighs not even a pound, super lightweight. You'll have it forever. Now, while this is lightweight, do you really need it? Can you find some rocks and build just a little fire pit and have a fire there? And so this also prevents you from scarring up the earth, stuff like that. So there's different ways that you can reduce weight. If you don't need to take this, and you can just find some rocks and make yourself a little fire, and it's legal to do that, go for that. Another thing about packaging, mosquito packages. Do I need all these? No. I can take a strip of these and I can put them in a plastic bag, and I can take what I'll need for the trip. I don't need to take another 2 ounces of weight with me. I had my water bag in a backpack from Gregory because I was paranoid about the water bag puncturing. And this thing weighs at least 5 ounces, and it was a complete waste of time. I didn't need that, so that's a good example. And I take a little tiny folding chair. While it's great, it weighs right around a pound, and for that same weight, I can also get a folding sleeping pad here. And this sleeping pad, while it's a little bit shorter, I can use this 2 ways. I can also sit on this, I can sleep on it, and 3 ways. And, it provides warmth as well. So this doesn't provide any warmth whatsoever on that end. So that was kind of an obvious solution to switch over to that. So anyways, I encourage you guys to, just try to lighten your load. Let me know what you cut out or what you added, and especially let me know what changed into multiple objects. What are you using that went into, it turned into like 2 different things that it's doing. So not only are you sleeping on it, but you're also sitting on it. So let me know what you've cut out of your bag. Let me know what kind of items you're using to do multiple things with, that you're sitting with and it's keeping you warm and it replaced another item. Love to hear about that in the comments. Hope this has helped some of you guys, and let me know of your adventures. See you on the next video. If you like what you saw here, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You can also support the channel on Patreon or by bookmarking my Amazon affiliate page found in the links below.